Well, tensions between the United States and Iran are escalating following last Friday's drone strike. The strike saw General Qasem Soleimani killed in Iraq. Now, since the death, President Trump says he'd bomb Iranian cultural sites if Iran violently reacts to the US assassination of their top general. Hundreds of thousands have taken to the streets, and they're still in the streets of Tehran as I speak, as Iran's parliament chants, "Death to America." Now, that has many wondering, are we on the brink of war and possibly of a nuclear kind? For more, I'm joined by Mohammad Marandi, a professor of North American Studies at the University of Tehran in Iran. Professor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Commander Soleimani.
Well, Commander Soleimani was a war hero. He fought as a volunteer in the 8-year-long war with Saddam Hussein, when Saddam Hussein was provided with chemical weapons by the United States and its Western allies. He survived many of those chemical attacks. And he was among those who saved the country from Western-backed destruction. Then General Soleimani more recently became famous after Western countries, along with your good friend Saudi Arabia and other regional regimes, when they supported Wahhabi groups, extremists, to go into Syria. They facilitated tens of thousands of foreign extremists to go into Syria, mostly through Turkey and Jordan, and some through Lebanon. And when Damascus was on the verge of falling to these black flags, he was sent there to save the city from falling.
Okay, so
later on, when
a commander that's very famous, that's a war hero, but the rest of the world sees him as responsible for numerous terror attacks, the MEK members in Iraq, his Quds were terror militia. And what about claims that Soleimani was about to plot the deaths of Americans? He was certainly capable of taking that out. You smirk and smile, sir. You don't agree with any of that?
Well, it's nonsense. And the MEK is a terrorist organization that fought for Saddam Hussein. So you think that they are representative of the Iranian people? They fought for Saddam Hussein. And now they are agents of the United States. They're based in Europe and in Albania. They're sort of like our Al-Qaeda, although Al-Qaeda nowadays has been backed by the United States in Syria. And in addition to the claim made by Trump, it turned out to be a lie. The Iraqi prime minister yesterday in parliament said openly that General Soleimani was coming to Iraq to meet me because I had a message from the Saudis, he said, and Trump knew about it. And
so this is a plot of some kind, motivated by what?
Well, Trump is an ally of your country, so I should be asking you this. I'm saying what the Iraqi prime minister said. General Soleimani was coming to Iraq to meet the prime minister, says the prime minister. He was coming to discuss a letter that was sent by the Saudis in the framework of the mediation process that the Iraqi prime minister was facilitating. And the Iraqi prime minister said that Trump actually thanked him for mediating. So the nonsense, the lies that Trump spouts has been revealed by the Iraqi prime minister in parliament.
All right.
But we're not seeing that in the Western media, are we?
In the meantime, and we're showing pictures of the streets of Tehran at the moment, the protests continue, involving hundreds of thousands of people. Hezbollah has also weighed in, making all kinds of deadly threats against the United States and their missions in other parts of the Middle East. We've had the Parliament legalise the abolition of the 2015 nuclear deal with the UN. Will there be massive retaliation here, and has Donald Trump picked on the wrong man?
Well, there are millions of people in Tehran as we speak at this rally commemorating his death, his unlawful death. Americans carried out an act of war by murdering a senior official. And Trump, ironically, once upon a time, said that Obama created ISIS. And he also said that the Iranians were fighting ISIS. And General Soleimani was leading the fight in Iraq as well against ISIS. He prevented Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, from falling. So the Americans have killed the main person who resisted against ISIS, which was created by the foolish policies of the United States and its allies.
Okay, so how hefty will this retaliation be? How serious will it be?
Well, it's not only Iran. You have to take into account the fact that this war crime and this act of war was also carried out against the people of Iraq, because the Americans also simultaneously murdered a senior Iraqi war hero who was the deputy head of the Popular Mobilization Forces, Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, who is the equivalent of General Soleimani in Iraq. He succeeded in pushing ISIS out of Iraq. Yet the Americans murdered him with impunity, despite the fact that the Iraqi prime minister told the Americans that they have no right to carry out attacks in Iraq. The United States was not prepared, was unwilling to provide the Iraqi government with any intelligence that they claimed to have that attacks were carried out.
So let me ask the question again. With Iraq and Iran on the same side over this incident, will we see, and is it the first step towards war?
Well, when the Iraqi parliament says the Americans must go, and Trump, behaving like a thug, says if we're forced out, we will strangle your economy, that is the language of empire, but it's not going to work. Obama was more politically correct. I'm not saying he was any better than Trump. He helped the Saudis impose a starvation siege in Yemen, and so did your government, by the way. And he helped the extremists in Syria, as says Trump, as claims Trump. And I'm not saying he's any better, but Trump, he right now has created a situation for the United States where the Iraqi parliament has told them to leave. The United States is trying to threaten the Iraqi country. And this is, as I said, this is not the 19th century anymore. The United States will be forced to leave.
Okay,
but
all right.
Behaving like an empire is only going to antagonize the international community. Western countries should not fool themselves by repeating to themselves how good they are and how evil the rest of the world is.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Most incisive. Thank you very much.